Now, I'm neither pro nor con on the subject we're presenting here. I'm merely passing information. I actually say each his own. But in 1897, Magnus Hirschfeld founded the world's first homosexual organization, the Scientific Humanitarian Committee. His aim was to use science to improve public tolerance of homosexuality and to repeal the laws. Now, German writers in the mid-19th century coined the word homosexuality and criticized its criminalization.
So like a curious traveler on a quest, we embark upon a journey of information. Stay with us for a ride into knowledge.
The first homosexual movements thrived in Germany from the late 19th century until 1933. The movement began in Germany because of a confluence of factors, including the criminalization of sex between men and the country's relatively lax censorship. Reduced censorship and the growth of homosexual subcultures in German cities helped the movement to flourish during the Weimar Republic. The first publicly sold, mass-marketed periodicals intended for a gay, lesbian, or transvestite audience readership appeared around 1919, although they faced censorship laws and bans on public sale after the 1926 Trash and Smut Law. The movement began to wane in 1929 with the Great Depression, an increasingly hostile political climate, and the failure of the movement's main goal, the repeal of the law, which was paragraph 175. It effectively ended within a few months of the Nazi takeover in early 1933, and the relative tolerance of the Weimar era was followed by the most severe persecution of homosexual men in history. Now, Uncle A's party believed that homosexual men were effeminate, weak, and they shirked their duty to procreate and produce children for the German nation and military. They were already short of the appropriate age males because of World War I. There were way too many females compared to males. Homosexuality was described in propaganda as a contagious disease and a Jewish conspiracy to undermine the German people. Now, Uncle A and the party viewed homosexuals as a threat to the Aryan race and the German society. The state's policy was one of brutal persecution, aimed at terrorizing, incarcerating, and ultimately eradicating homosexuality from Germany. The persecution was primarily carried out using an existing law, that was paragraph 175 of the German Criminal Code, that criminalized sexual acts between men. Now here's the event.
In Berlin, on the 10th of May 1933, a bonfire was held on Unter den Linden, the capital's most important thoroughfare. It was a site of great symbolic resonance. Opposite the university and adjacent to St. Hedwig's Cathedral, the Berlin State Opera House, the Royal Palace, and Karl Friedrich Schinkel's beautiful war memorial. Watched by a cheering crowd of almost 40,000, a group of students ceremonially marched up to the bonfire, carrying the bust of a Jewish intellectual, Magnus Hirschfeld, founder of the groundbreaking Institute of Sexual Sciences. Chanting the Feuersprüche, a series of fire incantations, they threw the bust on top of thousands of volumes from the Institute's library, which adjoined books by Jewish and other un-German writers, gays and communists prominent among them, that had been seized from bookshops and libraries. Around the fire stood rows of young men in Nazi uniforms giving the Heil Hitler salute. The students were keen to curry favor with the new government, and this book burning was a carefully planned publicity stunt. In Berlin, Joseph Goebbels, Hitler's new minister of propaganda, gave a rousing speech that was widely reported around the world. No to decadence and moral corruption. Yes to decency and morality in family and state. The future German man will not just be a man of books, but a man of character. It is to this end that we want to educate you. You do well to commit to the flames the evil spirit of the past. This is a strong, great, and symbolic deed. Similar scenes went on in 90 other locations across the country that night. The Nazis burned Jewish books among many others in a campaign of cultural and ideological cleansing that climaxed in May 1933 and continued throughout Germany and occupied territories. Organized by the German student union, Deutsche Studentenschaft, these ceremonies targeted works by Jewish, communist, socialist, liberal, and other authors whose ideologies were deemed incompatible with current political ideals. Reich Minister of Propaganda Joseph Goebbels was a prominent speaker at the Berlin event, declaring an end to Jewish intellectualism. Now, we mentioned Magnus Hirschfeld and his Sexology Institute. It was founded in 1919. Magnus Hirschfeld, a world-renowned expert in the emerging discipline of sexology. During its existence, thousands of patients were seen and treated, often for free. The institute also achieved a global reputation for its pioneering work on transsexual understanding and calls for equality for homosexuals, transgender people, and women. Hirschfeld himself was a passionate advocate for homosexual rights and had long appealed for the repeal of paragraph 175, the law that criminalized homosexuality in Germany. Jewish, gay, and outspokenly liberal, Hirschfeld was an obvious target for the Nazis, and the seizure and destruction of the institute on the 6th of May took place only 3 months after Hitler was made Chancellor of Germany. During the book burning, Hirschfeld was working in Paris. He saw the burning of his own library in a news report at the cinema. In 1935, just weeks after the death of Hirschfeld in Paris, paragraph 175 was redrafted to prohibit all forms of male homosexual contact. In total, around 50,000 gay men were detained. Around 10,000 to 15,000 were also deported to concentration camps, where many were forced to wear a pink triangle and subjected to castration and medical experimentation. Even after the end of the war, paragraph 175 was not repealed, and many gay men remained in prison for years to come.
Now, lesbians were not systematically targeted by specific laws to the same effect as gay men were, but their organizations and meeting places were also shut down. The party at the time didn't want to encourage the relationship because they sure needed some German babies being born. Now, after the war, the paragraph 175 remained in effect in West Germany until 1969, and those persecuted were not officially recognized as victims until decades later in 2002. Just more food for thought.
Thanks for watching this and all our videos. Please like, share, and subscribe. And until we meet again, stay curious, fellow travelers, and have a great day.